Sister, God has called you to build a transformative ministry, whether it's a nonprofit, a coaching program, a, a healing ministry. Maybe you are called to speak and travel not only this country, but this world. But as God continues to elevate you and take you to new levels on your ministry journey, I must warn you that not everyone is going to be able to come with you. That's what we're talking about today. And if you know that you are on the ascension path for your ministry or faith based business, you want to stay tuned for today's entire episode. My name is Reverend Jocelyn. I am your coach and your host of the Sister Start Your Ministry Hour. I grew my ministry from a simple blog to a national Christian trauma healing business. And now I help women just like you to do the same by answering your call to ministry in whatever capacity that might look like. Now, if you are a first timer here, welcome, sis. We're so glad that you are here, and we never want you to leave empty handed. So if you haven't already, be sure to download my free Ministry Launch Starter Kit at sisterstartyourministry.com. This kit is designed for sisters who know they are called to build a ministry beyond the walls of the church. And that can look like a faith based business. It talks about how to organize your ministry, it talks about revenue and how to raise funds for your ministry. Maybe you need help on figuring out your messaging. It's a number of great tools that I put in this kit. And so you want to make sure you visit sisterstartyourministry.com to get that today. Now, another thing we always do is roll call. So whether you are watching live or the replay, we want you to put your name and your city in the comments so I can connect with you and know who is here. We already got sisters doing their roll call. Diana from Orlando. Hi, sister. It's so good to see you. All right. Kokisha. Hey. Hi, sister. Arkansas is in the house. Good to see you. Sabrina. Oh, Sabrina. Good to see you tonight, sister. Glad that you are here. Jessica. Arkansas. All right. I'm loving it. Miss Valerie. Chi-Town's in the house. Dr. Arlene from Maryland. Good to see you, sisters. Continue with the roll call. Reverend Beverly, I'm seeing my members show up strong. It is always good to see you. Continue with the roll call in the comments and let me know that you are here. All right, sisters. So we're about to get into the teaching for tonight. See you, Tiffany. Thank you for being here, Tiffany. All right. And Sabrina, Chicago-ish. I know exactly what you mean by that. All right. So let's get into the topic at hand because, sisters, many of you, I actually know you in the comments and I see what God is doing through your ministry in this season. And it's exciting. It's exciting as you're venturing out to write that book, to start that podcast, to begin coaching or doing your healing ministry or whatever your focus is. God is taking you to your next level. But as you're going to your new places, as you're building, we're going to have to be very cognizant of the people who are in our inner circle, particularly the people who we listen to, who we give our ear to. Is important because sometimes people can take you astray if we're not careful, and they can be good people. So it's not all bad people who do this. And so I want to give you some signs to consider when it comes to determining if there's some people in your life who you might be outgrowing or their season of being in intimate connection with you, so to speak, is coming to an end. So sign number one is you are no longer walking in the same direction. And I'm actually going to do a little bit of teaching based on this principle out of Genesis 13, 1 through 18. And this is coming from a familiar passage, a familiar story that is of Abram and Lot. How many of you, I know many of you are familiar with this. Hey, Sheila, good to see you from Chi-Town. Thank you for being here, Sheila. How many of you are familiar with the story of Abram and Lot? I'm sure many of you are. Lot was the nephew of Abram, and they, for a season, they were journeying out together. When Abram was called out to leave his father's household, Lot went with him, and they were both growing in wealth and livestock and possessions together. But over time, it got to a point in their journey where they had accumulated so much wealth and possessions and livestock that there wasn't enough room in the shared land for them both to coexist together. And this was what's so interesting, because this was not something where the relationship started off toxic. The relationship wasn't toxic at first. Sometimes the relationship simply cannot support the growth of the next season. And this can happen in your life. There are certain people who, honestly, they're good people, but you're growing. Things are changing, you're expanding. And in this case, it was a conversation that the two of them had to have where it was like, okay, and I'm gonna actually bring up the scripture where this took place. Genesis 13:8-9. Abram said to Lot, "Let's not have any quarreling between you and me, or between your herders and mine, for we are close relatives. Isn't not the whole land before you? So let's part company. If you go to the left, I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, I'll go to the left." And essentially, they made a decision to part ways amicably. It wasn't anything where it was like some fallout or something like that. They just saw, okay, based on where things are going, we need to go separate ways. And they also saw in this case that the relationship, the dynamics at the time, due to them outgrowing, the relationship was producing a little tension due to certain things. And so they made a decision to go separate ways. Now, in this process, sometimes when you realize, okay, like maybe it's in ministry within the church, like you're over the sisterhood ministry or the choir, or there's certain things taking place. It might be one of those moments in your ministry where you're like, okay, we are kind of butting heads, outgrowing each other. We still love each other, but maybe we should go our separate ways. Maybe God is calling me to go to the right to start this new venture, and you go to the left. And in those moments, sometimes you can have a conversation around the separation. But I've also learned sometimes you can outgrow people, and it could be someone who's a friend, a family member, someone who you considered a close acquaintance. Maybe you worked together for some years, but the time is coming to an end where you realize, man, no, this is no longer working like it used to. And I need to separate myself. And making that decision is not making you mean. It's not like you're abandoning them, but it could honestly be healthy and necessary for you in order for you to go to where God is leading you. When I say necessary, sign number 3 speaks to this. When there are people in your life who they drain more than they pour. There are people in our lives who do that. I don't know who actually originated this quote, but it's powerful nonetheless. It's this idea that some people in our lives can be drains or fountains. Drains or fountains. Now, we understand that a drain is something where it kind of just sucks the energy out of you, sucks the life out of you. You just feel like, oh, I'm just so tired after talking to them. Like, it's just like, there's people who after a while you like, I need to recoup. Like, it took everything in me. I got to be prayed up before I go into conversation with this person. That's a drain. They take your energy. They may be someone who takes resources from you, and you got to be mindful of the drains. And again, it could be something where the people who are drains, they might be acting out of unhealed trauma. They might be going through some different challenges. They can be great people, but you got to be careful of the drains. They can also sometimes just kind of lean towards more negative, where when you talk to the drains, they're just kind of like, man, I don't know about that. Did God really call you to do those things? Be careful of the drains. In contrast, you have fountains. Oh, a fountain. A fountain is one in which they pour, and they pour some more. When you are around fountains, it's like you are just benefiting from their overflow. They're positive. They open doors for you. They encourage you. They connect you with resources. You can't have enough fountains in your life. So, as we're thinking about the people who are in our circle, are they drains or fountains? And if they are a drain, it's not like one of those things where you just come up and tell the person, you know what, you a drain. I need to cut you off. Don't do that. That's like rude. But you can just kind of like slowly start to separate. You slowly be like, I'm a little busy, and start creating a little bit of distance between them. Pray for them. You can still be loving and kind, but you're creating some space, because you can have people draining your energy and taking you off course when it comes to what God is calling you to do. And I'm seeing you all in the comments. Thank you. You said, yes, Lord, drain more than they pour. Help us, Jesus. I'm glad you like that analogy. Yes. Thank you, Pastor Valerie. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. So you all are tracking with me. That one hit, because y'all know some drains in your life. Okay. And, scripture, it reminds us, whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. Companion of fools. That sounds harsh, but that's the word. There are some people, God bless them. I'll just move on to the next point, because I don't want to call people out. But yes, you already know. Okay, so sign number four. Your growth is a threat to them. Ooh, some people, they are threatened by your growth. They're threatened by your growth because when you're growing, you might be at a place where you're starting to say no to certain things. You're no longer trying to people please. You no longer have time to engage in certain conversations that you used to engage in. There's certain people in your life that they only want to gossip. I mean, they stay current with the latest tea. They tell you everything that Sister Debbie and Sister Rose is doing at the church, so they just want to gossip, keep you posted on what's happening in the news. They got all the time to talk about these things. But when you start getting on your business, you ain't got time to be talking about what Sister Debbie doing. You focused on your mission. And with that, they kind of look at you like, girl, you changed. Like, why all of a sudden, like, you can't hang out with us anymore like you used to? You still working on that book? Like, does it take all that? And so they start to get threatened by your evolution. And they understand that the relationship is built on who you were. And that's who they used to know. That's who they were familiar with, but not who you're becoming. And when they're looking at who you're becoming, you're not like the person you were a year ago, 2 years ago. That's a threat, because they're seeing the distance. They might be very comfortable in their current situation. They might be comfortable to a point where they have no desire to change. But sister, in order for you to get to where God is leading you to, you got to grow. You got to. You got to evolve. And that creates sometimes a gap between you and them, because if they're staying the same while you're elevating, it's like someone who is on the first floor while you're taking the escalator. You're going up. They're staying the same. They cool, just staying in place. You're not. And so that becomes a threat. So understanding that and being okay with people just saying, we outgrew each other. Love not lost. You just outgrew each other. But people can be threatened by your growth. Okay. And that's kind of the same thing I'm saying here with sign number 5. They keep relating to the old version of you. They used to be like, girl, you know how you used to be. You know how we used to do. Oh, like, oh, that little thing that you're doing. Like they're referring to the older version, not seeing who you've become, what you are doing. And over time, again, you will see, okay, they're just not comfortable with me in this new space, and that's okay. I want you all to think about anytime you've been in a hotel, and imagine the hotel room you're in right now is in the penthouse. Like, I would love to stay in the penthouse, to be honest, but like, imagine we going to the penthouse of the hotel, and there's people in your life who they're going to get on the elevator with you. They might get on the elevator with you when you were in your 30s or 40s, and they're riding with you, and they're on this elevator ride, but then they get off on, let's say, the 5th floor when you reach a certain point in your ministry journey, in your evolution. And when they get off on the 5th floor, that's their stop. But that's not your stop. You're continuing to rise, and you're going to continue to rise until you get to that penthouse. So understanding that people will ride the wave with you a certain distance, and thank God for them when they did, particularly if it was something that was meaningful and positive. But if someone gets off on the 10th floor because that's their stop, you can't be like, no, don't leave me, and just have like a whole, thing. No, it's their stop. Bless you. If ever you want to rise with me to the penthouse, the invitation's open if you elevate your game, so to speak. All right. So another sign that we want to keep in mind is that sometimes people, as you're rising, they don't respect your boundaries. Ooh. Sometimes people really struggle in this area. I say Patricia. Hey, Patricia, welcome. I see you, Valerie. They can't move beyond a certain period. That's right. Shirley Jackson, good to see you, sis. Death and life is in the power of the tongue. That's right. That's right. So sometimes people, they don't respect your boundaries. And they might have porous boundaries, as they say, or loose boundaries, where they feel like everybody else should have the same, where it's like loosey-goosey. People never say no. But let me say this to you. The more I serve and the more I get like laser focused on what I'm doing, I am learning the power of this one word. I wonder if you can guess what this one word is, because it's a whole sentence. This one word, no. I am learning the power of my no, sister, because I can no longer say yes to every opportunity, to attending every event or function or invitation. I mean, when I was first getting started, I used to say yes to everything. Dr. Arlene, I know you could probably relate to this, because you, at some point, you were doing so many speaking engagements, volunteering everywhere, because people admire you and they know you'll show up. But just like many of you, when you get to the point where your capacity, you see, like, I can't say yes to every speaking engagement. I can't say yes to every volunteer opportunity. I can't say yes to every, thing or event or function. I will lose my hair trying to people please and be everything to everybody. You can't do it. It's just not feasible. We have to know what season we're in and what our priorities are. And when we start setting priorities, saying, okay, right now for this season, my priority is working on my book project, or getting this 501c3 nonprofit established, or my priority is, doing this mentor program. You have to, in order to prioritize, you have to deprioritize certain things and say no, and be protective of your time and intentional with your time. That's going to require, sisters, for you to set boundaries. the B word. And some people will not like it. They will get offended when you set boundaries. But let me tell you something. They will get over it. Say in the comments, they'll get over it. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't want, and I see y'all blowing up. Come on, the power to know, the power to know. Yes. Come on, sisters. Yes. Because here's the thing, sisters. I'm trying to tell you something. I'm trying to save some of y'all. I do not want you stressed out, blood pressure high, over here ready to have a stroke because you're doing the absolute most. Okay. Because I know I worked in church full time for over a decade, and in the church in certain fields, because they know you multifaceted, multi-talented, they will run you straight into the ground and be like, what happened to Sister Debbie? Isn't that so sad? She had a heart attack. But like y'all ran me into the ground. Don't you let them do that. Don't you let them run you into the ground. You better learn to say no. You better learn, because it's one of those things. They will surely find a replacement for you after they have a wonderful homegoing service for you. They will find a replacement. So we're going to learn. I'm going off the riff, y'all. I'm having fun with this topic. Can you tell? So we got to learn to say no to certain things and set boundaries. Yes, they will get over it. That is right. They will get over it, sisters, because at the end of the day, you are focused. You are on mission. You have work to do, and not everybody is meant to ride this wave with you to the end. Knowing what season you're in all seriousness, knowing your priorities, and knowing who you answer to, which is God, not any human being. You answer to God. Okay, first and foremost, you take care of your first ministry, which is your home. If you're married, your kids, you take care of that. And then outside of that, you are looking at, okay, what am I focusing on in this season? You invest your time in things that yield fruit, and you protect your energy against drains, even if they're good people. And you protect your time against just being busy. Busyness is not productive. Busyness does not necessarily mean you're fruitful. You prayerfully say yes to opportunities, and you also prayerfully say no to other things that are not in alignment with the mission for this season. If you listen to me here, this will make a difference. And I'm telling you, the boundaries not only apply in church, in the workplace. No, you can't work this overtime or extra hours. I don't take calls after 6 p.m. or whatever time you get off work. Like family members who keep asking you for money or rides or whatever. Some of us, we come in here like baby Jesus, and we're enabling people, and we need to say no. So learning to set these boundaries will help us to be able to function from a place of wellness so that we are not completely drained. Do you understand what I'm saying, sister? And I know you do. I know you do. And I'm seeing the comments. Thank you all for talking back with me. I know with what you're doing, this is important. Sabrina says they will replace you before the chickens turn cold from the repast. Lord have mercy, Jesus. That is so true. Yes, sisters, you are saying something in the chat. I love this. And so that is the steps that I wanted to share today, just to encourage you to be okay with releasing people when the season is up. You are ascending. There is good things before you, and I want you to be well as you go to this next level. Now, if today's episode was a blessing to you, or you were just like, we have fun together, I'm going to encourage you to do a couple things for me. First, share this with some girlfriends. Share this with some girlfriends who they're focused, they're trying to get some things done so that they can get some of this good information too. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And also like this episode, because when you like it, it kind of pushes out to the algorithm more. Lastly, if you haven't already, in the show notes, we offer you an opportunity to book what we call a resource connection call. The resource connection call is for sisters who are really looking for like connections to resources. That's the only thing I know how to describe it as. Like, you're like, okay, I'm like trying to figure out how to start, and you're not already a member of my community. Members of my community, don't book this call because you already get all the resources we connect you to. But if you're not in our community and you're like, man, like I could use some like help with like getting connected to funding or figuring out like how to get started with my nonprofit or structure or whatever the case may be, then look at the show notes to see like how you can book a resource connection call and talk to us for about just 15 minutes on what resources you're trying to get connected to. And then we'll connect you with those resources. Also, I have some free trainings in the chat. I can't even talk. Free trainings in the show notes. We have a free training that talks about how to build your ministry driven business. And you can watch that training on demand. It's really good, if I do say so myself. And so all of that and more is in the notes. All right, ladies. So thank you for hanging out with me. Every Sunday at 6:30 p.m., we're live and we're enjoying each other's company to help each other to grow our ministries, our faith, and our businesses at that. All right, sisters. So that's it for today. Thank you again for hanging out with me this evening, and I will see you next week. God bless you, sisters.